What if Tanjiro Kamado wasn't just born with the potential for sun breathing, but was actually born with the Demon Slayer mark already manifested on his body? What if the mark that typically only appears during life or death battles was present from the moment he took his first breath? Would he have become the strongest Demon Slayer in history, or would this premature power have led to his early death? Well, I found 3 theories about how this could have changed everything in Demon Slayer. And in the first theory, being born with the Demon Slayer mark becomes Tanjiro's greatest curse rather than his blessing. The Demon Slayer mark isn't just a weird birthmark, it fundamentally alters the user's body, increasing their heart rate beyond normal human limits and raising their body temperature to dangerous levels. For an adult Demon Slayer in peak physical condition, this is manageable during combat, but for a newborn baby, it would be catastrophic. Tanjiro's childhood would be plagued by constant illness. His abnormally high body temperature would cause frequent fevers that his family couldn't explain. Tanjiro, his father, would recognize something familiar about his son's condition because of his own experience with the Hinokami Kagura, but he wouldn't understand the full implications. The family would spend whatever money they had on doctors and medicine trying to keep young Tanjiro alive. But the Demon Slayer mark comes with a terrible price that even most Hashira don't know about. Anyone who manifests the mark is cursed to die before reaching the age of 25. This curse would begin affecting Tanjiro from birth, meaning his body would be aging and deteriorating faster than normal, even as a child. By the time Tanjiro is 10 years old, his body would already show signs of the accelerated aging process. He'd be physically weaker than other children his age, unable to help his family sell charcoal because the mountain treks would exhaust him too quickly. When Muzan attacks the Kamado family, Tanjiro would be too weak to even attempt to rescue. He'd return from town, having barely made the journey, only to find his family massacred. But unlike the original timeline, Tanjiro wouldn't have the physical strength to carry Nezuko down the mountain. He'd collapse from exhaustion, and both siblings would freeze to death in the snow before Kyu Tomioka could arrive. In the second theory, Tanjiro's body somehow adapts to having the mark from birth, but this creates an entirely different problem, because the mark has been active since infancy. Tanjiro grows up with physical abilities that are far beyond what any child should possess. By age 5, he can outrun grown adults. By age 8, his strength is comparable to a trained swordsman. By age 10, he's already performing the Hinokami Kagura dance with precision that would take normal practitioners decades to achieve. This extraordinary strength makes Tanjiro a local legend in his village, but it also attracts the wrong kind of attention. Demons who pass through the area sense something different about this boy. He doesn't smell like a normal human. The Demon Slayer mark emanates a presence that demons find both intriguing and threatening. One night, a lower-ranked demon investigating the strange scent comes across the Kamado household, but instead of just attacking randomly like Muzan did, this demon reports back to one of the upper moons about the peculiar boy living in the mountains. Akaza, who's obsessed with finding and fighting strong humans, becomes personally interested. Akaza arrives at the Kamado household when Tanjiro is 12 years old, a full year before Muzan's attack in the original timeline. He doesn't want to kill Tanjiro, he wants to turn him into a demon. Akaza sees Tanjiro's innate strength and the mysterious mark on his forehead, and he becomes convinced that as a demon, Tanjiro would be stronger than even himself. The confrontation is brutal. Tanjiro, despite his enhanced physical abilities from the mark, has no formal combat training. He only knows the Hinokami Kagura dance as a ritual, not as a fighting technique. During the fight, something unexpected happens. Tanjiro's mark begins to spread across his body in response to the life-threatening situation. The pattern grows more intricate, covering his arms and chest. His body temperature spikes even higher, and for a brief moment, he actually lands a hit on Akaza using an instinctive sun-breathing form. Akaza is stunned. This untrained boy just hurt him. His obsession intensifies. He makes Tanjiro an offer: become a demon and achieve strength beyond human limitations, or watch his entire family die. Tanjiro's father, intervenes. Despite his own illness, he steps forward and tells Akaza to take him instead, to spare his son and family. Akaza considers this, but ultimately decides the father isn't as interesting as the son. He kills Tanjiro in front of Tanjiro, and then proceeds to massacre the rest of the family except for Nezuko, who he leaves barely alive as leverage. He forcibly injects Tanjiro with Muzan's blood, transforming him into a demon. Demon Tanjiro retains his mark, making him the second demon after Kokushibo to possess a Demon Slayer mark. The combination of demon regeneration, enhanced physical abilities, and the mark's power turns him into a monster of unprecedented strength. But let's see what happens in theory number 3. In this third scenario, Tanjiro being born with the mark actually saves humanity, but in a way no one could have predicted. When Tanjiro is born with the Demon Slayer mark already visible on his forehead, word spreads through the region about the marked child. Rumors and legends travel fast in rural Japan, and eventually these stories reach the ears of the Demon Slayer core. Kagaya Ubuyashiki, the core leader, hears about a baby born with markings that match ancient descriptions of Demon Slayer marks from the Sengoku era. Kagaya sends Sakonji Urokodaki to investigate. When Sakonji arrives at the Kamado household and sees young Tanjiro, he immediately recognizes the mark as genuine. Sakonji makes an offer to the Kamado family. He'll visit regularly to train Tanjiro from childhood, preparing his body to handle the mark's power while also teaching him water-breathing techniques to complement the sun-breathing legacy in his blood. blood. Tanjiro agrees, recognizing that his son's mark is both a gift and a burden that will require guidance to master. Tanjiro's training begins at age 4. It's gentle at first, just breathing exercises and meditation to help his body regulate the increased heart rate and temperature from the mark. But as he grows older, the training intensifies. By age 8, he's already learning basic water breathing forms. By age 10, Tanjiro begins to teach him the Hinokami Kagura, not as a dance, but as the combat technique that it truly is. The unique combination of growing up with the mark and receiving formal training from childhood creates something unprecedented. Tanjiro's body fully adapts to the mark's presence in ways that would be impossible for someone who manifested it later in life. His stamina becomes inhuman. His reflexes operate at speeds that even Hashira struggle to match. When Muzan attacks the Kamado family in this timeline, he encounters something he never expected. 13-year-old Tanjiro, who has been training for 9 years and has fully mastered the Demon Slayer mark, is already stronger than most Hashira. He's not strong enough to defeat Muzan, that would be impossible, but he's strong enough to actually fight back. Tanjiro uses sun-breathing techniques he learned from his father, combined with the water-breathing forms from Sakonji. The combination creates a fighting style that surprises even Muzan. When Muzan sees the Hanafuda earrings and realizes this boy can actually use sun-breathing effectively, his Yorichi trauma triggers hard. For the first time in centuries, Muzan feels genuine fear. He's looking at what could become another Yorichi if given enough time to grow. He doesn't just attack, he goes all out, trying to kill Tanjiro before the boy can become a real threat. The battle destroys half the Kamado household. Tanjiro fights with everything he has, protecting his siblings who are evacuating. He knows he can't win, but he can buy time. He uses the Hinokami Kagura, clear blue sky, to create a defensive barrier that even Muzan struggles to penetrate immediately. Sakonji arrives, having sensed the demonic presence from his position monitoring the mountain. Behind him are 3 other Hashira, Giyu, Gyomei, and Sanemi, who were in the region for a separate mission. The 4 of them plus Tanjiro engage Muzan in a battle that should have been impossible this early in the timeline. Muzan realizes he's in actual danger. 5 powerful fighters, including one who can use sun breathing, all attacking him simultaneously. He manages to severely wound Sanemi and Giyu, but takes damage that would normally be impossible for any demon to receive outside of direct sunlight. Tanjiro's sun-breathing attacks are cauterizing Muzan's wounds, preventing instant regeneration. In desperation, Muzan does something he's never done before. He retreats. He escapes into the night, but not before delivering a devastating blow to Gyomei. The battle is technically a loss for the Demon Slayer since they didn't kill Muzan, but it's also unprecedented. Muzan, the Demon King, was forced to flee. The Demon Slayer Corps realizes they have something incredible, a teenage boy who can actually fight Muzan and survive. Kagaya immediately promotes Tanjiro to Hashira status, the youngest in history. They accelerate all their plans, knowing that Muzan will now be actively hunting Tanjiro to eliminate the threat before he grows stronger. The final confrontation happens 3 years earlier than in the original timeline. Tanjiro, now 16, has had 3 additional years to master the Demon Slayer mark that he's carried since birth. His body has fully synchronized with the mark's power in ways the original timeline never achieved. He's learned all 13 forms of sun breathing and created his own variations by combining them with water breathing. The battle takes place at the Ubuyashiki estate when Muzan launches a full assault with all the upper moons, but the Demon Slayer Corps is prepared. They've had 3 years to create strategies specifically for fighting Muzan. Shinobu has developed more potent poisons. Gyomei has perfected techniques specifically designed to restrict Muzan's movements, and Tanjiro has mastered the 13th form of sun breathing. The fight is catastrophic. Multiple Hashira die, including Shinobu, who sacrifices herself to poison Muzan, and Mitsuri, who uses her body to shield Tanjiro from a fatal blow. But unlike the original timeline, Tanjiro doesn't need to unlock the mark during the battle because he's had it his entire life. He goes straight to his absolute peak performance from the beginning. Tanjiro and Muzan clash in a duel that mirrors the legendary fight between Yorichi and Muzan centuries ago. But this time, Tanjiro has backup. Every time Muzan tries to escape or regenerate, another Hashira intervenes. In the final moments, as the sun begins to rise, Tanjiro uses the 13th form, a continuous sequence of all 12 sun-breathing forms performed without pause. The technique, combined with Shinobu's poison already coursing through Muzan's body, and the combined assault of all the remaining Hashira, finally overwhelms the Demon King. Muzan dies just as the first rays of sunlight touch the battlefield. Tanjiro survives, but he knows his time is limited. The curse of the Demon Slayer mark means he'll die before 25, giving him less than 9 years left. Click on this video to see what would happen if Tanjiro met Muzan in episode 1. Go ahead, click it.